Welcome. All right, but I'm going to do YouTube. Okay. Welcome to the big blue house. Let me just do this. Good morning. Okay. Max, I know you're not going to be happy with Mama. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You guys are gonna laugh at me. No, my hair looks actually kind of cute like this. But I was saying, I didn't even realize, I was like, you know how I always wear my hair, right? Nothing wrong with switching it up. But I thought I just saw a big spirit. But I didn't put on a nude bra. So basically, I'm doing like a whole Madonna thing here with the whole, like, let's see through your t-shirt type vibe. So when I picked up on it, I was like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, that's not gonna cut it. So hold on. What is going on with my jewelry? It's just, I keep finding it in random fucking places. It's really strange. It's just like not where I put it. I know the cat goes up there every once in a while, but not to like that depth of like knocking over my jewelry. So we'll see how long this hair thing lasts, because you know I love my hair up. So anywho, enough about me. You want to know what song's coming through? Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. That was a very controversial song, though, right? Because I know we've looked this up before. Which makes sense on what we're going to talk about. I just gotta put the fan on me. It's hot, and what I need to do is turn the AC on, but I will do that afterwards. Right now, I'll just go with the fan. Hopefully it's not too loud. Yeah, because women sang it. Yeah, I really don't know the whole theory behind it or why, but There's your answer. So, looking over my notes, so I'm meshing the 3D, 4D, 5D energy in with the reptilian energy video because it plays factor in the conversation of, dark matter. So I take it personally when, and I know it shouldn't matter, but I take it personally when people talk about reptilians and certain stuff, because there's so many great groups of reptilians and full of wisdom and, that have been here just as long as, other things. So to me, it's almost like being prejudiced. I can, equate them that way. But there is a group that's nasty, right? So there is, okay. So let's start with the reptilians. Let's start with that. That would make more sense to start with that and then go from 3D. So, good morning. Yeah, good and bad, just like everything else on Earth. Thank you, Grace. You just missed the story of why my hair is even like this. I threw it up. Anywho, there's so much going through my head. There's one group called the Trigetin, and one of the original groups, some of those kind of went bad and went rogue. So we always have sky wars. There's always stuff going on. The gods are fighting this and that. The collective gets together, once or twice a year, if that. And they discuss certain things like the dark matter, the light matter. They come together in the Milky Way and the cosmos and decide on, certain stuff, how they're going to do certain stuff and where certain stuff is going to lead and all that type of stuff. They've always done that. So it's just like our countries, we fight certain countries and back and forth. It's the same in the sky when it comes to different planets. Now, guys, this is okay. It's all theory, but it's not theory according to who's delivering the messages and that type of stuff, right? It could be all theory to us in the 3D because this is stuff that has been blocked from the matrix. They suppress certain stuff so we can't go past 3. Clearly some of us go past 3, but it was designed to not go past 3, which is why it's called 3D, third dimension. So it's like looking at a ruler 1 through 10, right? So if you're in 3D, you're really not supposed to go past the 3. If you're in 4D, you really can't go past the 4. If you're in 5D, you can't go to 6. It stops. But then that all boils down to consciousness, which is different with different dimensions. But right now we're just going to keep it to 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So I want to say, I think it's like 40,000 years ago in the skies with these planets, the war was so huge between one planet and the Federation. Okay. And which caused, a huge mess in our solar system. Is one of the reasons why we're suffering today is still from that war, from that battle. So the Federation was like weak and depleted. So basically, kind of like the Federation lost the war, the battle. So the reptilians, this particular group, once they escaped whatever they were escaping, a majority of them came to 3D, which is, our world. They came here because at that point, the world wasn't vibing high enough. There wasn't a high enough vibration at that point. So they're like, hey, let's put them on the 3D. So they kind of trapped this group of reptilians that just gets larger and larger on the 3D. That's why they're here. The Federation closed the gaps, the voids, the veils. They closed the grid, so they couldn't get back. Their intentions were never to leave the reptilians on 3D, ever. And at that point, they were weaker. Their vibration was weaker after the battle. I don't know how their electronic, magnetic field works, but at that point, they were weaker, okay? So, again, guys, theory, right? That's how they got here. So when it comes to basically the 3D, it's a matrix, it's a computer system, it's a program. There's also another belief, let me just squeeze this in. There's another belief where if you can't raise your vibration high enough in your lifetime or reach a point of consciousness, that's when you consistently get reincarnated. The reincarnation and the past life don't really go hand by hand because the past life is more consciousness. And the reincarnation part is not. So it really is like a whole nother topic. So skin is peeling. So the 3D, okay, it's an operated computer system. It leads our thoughts and it leads our emotions, matching frequencies. And when those frequencies match, they merge. That's how they kind of have control over the matrix right now, these computer systems. A majority of these computer systems, too, there's one main database. It's like a Luna computer. I'll get into that after. But, it controls a lot of the matrix. So the Federation had plans to sort out how to get the reptilians now out of 3D, 40,000 years ago. And they weren't able to do it because it messes with the grid. Because humans, over the last 12,000 years, when it's come to certain stuff and where we are now with artificial intelligence, so they have to stay, okay? There's a whole, so if we take two, let's just break the two reptilians into fractions. You got really good ones and you got the ones that are will fight to the end, the bitter end, not to make sure things get, fixed in certain stuff. So I know a lot of it has to do with karma too. I shouldn't even have brought that into it. So you know how we see ghosts and monsters and certain creatures and animals and UFOs? That's all a glitch. All that lives in the 5D. Nobody's afraid of that type of energy. We connect more to that type of energy in the 5D because our consciousness has already hit a certain point. of 5D, whereas we're not thinking back on 3D and 4D. Once you hit certain points of consciousness, you really don't go back. Okay. So those are, see, I'm just trying to think like how to really word all this. I'm going to jump back and forth. I really wanted to stick to, hey, let's do this, 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 but it's not going to work that way because it's now showing me the moon. So the moon is a massive hologram, and it projects energy to the 3D. It is kind of like keeping us where they want us as like slaves. Okay. All right. Oh, hold on. I feel like I'm having a hard time talking. Like there's some type of interference, and I can feel it. So I'm gonna put the video down for a minute because I can actually feel the interference of what's happening. It's hard to explain. So I'm just gonna put you there. Okay, please don't take it personally. So there's a hologram, all right, and it's a force. It's fed from the moon that keeps us enslaved. It keeps us in this program they want to keep us in. Okay. Now, a certain group of the reptilians, they know how to hack the hologram. I believe it's called CGI graphics. Don't quote me. I'll have to go back and look that up. Yeah, I want to say that's what it is. So the reptilians hack certain grids, okay, certain programs that were designed for the 3D. So, like life itself, guys, we should be able to live, our soul should be able to live a lot longer of a lifespan. In this generation, if you think about it, scientists have been, searching for that gene. So, anti-aging, that type of stuff. And they feel like they found the gene, and Spirit's like, yeah, they absolutely found the gene, right? But what they're not understanding is that our own consciousness controls that gene. So technically, we could live a lot longer if we chose to. Certain reptilians here that hacked the system, that know how to really work with it. And you ask why, like, they can work with it and we can't, because these reptilians came from the galaxy. They came from the Milky Way. They were never lied to. They were never programmed. So even though when they came here, when they were weaker, they grew stronger, because that was the purpose of putting people in the 3D. Okay. So another reason why certain things can outwit us. But they created a shorter lifespan using mind control, using manipulation of the moon and the hologram. Okay, because if you think about it, all around us, right? It's like we use the law of attraction, and the law of attraction is in all dimensions. We set our own rules, but what is being created is the same thing over and over and over. It's like the whole beehive effect that I talked about in the last video. Okay. So we have to be careful with our consciousness, our mindset. Um, because if you think about it, guys, with computers, it's all about computers, programs, artificial intelligence, right? Um, it creates what we can see, how we imagine certain beliefs, all that. That's where conditioning stems from. So, okay, they want me to jump to this is okay. So we're going to jump to the 3D versus the 5D. Let me just take a sip of coffee. So the 5D, the 3D is kind of like it's a replica of the 5D, guys, okay? So the 5D was already created. So it's now replicated in the 3D. You have to remember, it's a big hologram, okay? So, like, a chair in the 5D is the same in the 3D. A shoe in the 5D is the same as a 3D. Now, trees are different. Trees in the 5D vibe a lot higher, okay? Colors in the 5D, there's more colors and they're brighter. So the 3D matrix is it's a copy of the 5D matrix, guys. It's, that's why vibration is so important. Or you can call it density, whatever you want to call it. But basically, it's like the vibration the definition is just an oscillation per second of manifested matter, which is law of attraction. Okay. It's like what you see. So, like an example, like a fan, when it's stopped, you see the blades, right? And when it's going, it's faster and faster and faster, and it just becomes like a blur. You can't see the blades anymore. So it's like that cause and effect, like that image that we see, that we witness, is actually it suppresses our vibration. So basically, when things were hacked, we can't see through the 3D because of the hack. So that this group of reptilians caused a suppression. Okay. And how that works in the 3D is like the moon, and it transmits a frequency that suppresses certain energy. So your capacity to see past the 3D is a fog. Okay. So the moon frequency and our frequency, it meets in the middle. Okay. And when that happens, it's called a destructive interference, I believe. That's what it was. So that's why, ghosts leak into the 3D, certain stuff. I don't know why they had me say that again, because I'm pretty sure I already said that. So, like, the suppression system that they built is not perfect. They make mistakes like humans make mistakes, okay? But basically, we live in a virtual reality, guys. We're living in the shadow of ourselves. We reside in that shadow, okay? That's why we disconnect from our higher selves. And our higher self is just another word. It's source, okay? That's why, people are always repeating patterns and karma and not learning lessons. It's because we're doing the same thing over and over, day after day, where it's like we lose our soul, we lose our loss of interest, we lose who we are as individuals, okay? Because of the suppression, which to me now makes sense with the whole hologram from the moon. So, especially with this artificial intelligence. So let's jump to the lunar computer, okay? It's how certain, cars, especially, technology, drive themselves, that type of stuff. It's just the lunar computer, there's 4 left. There was originally 12, 8 are gone, and we're down to 4, okay, that is still online. One of the main ones I know is in Dublin. But what it is just an advanced digital computer using a prime, what is it? It's like a primitive binary system. I think that's what it is, where it's just like, it's just a computer that's controlled by nuclear reactors based on uranium, okay, which is a toxic gas that is giving off radiation. And mind you, these computer systems, these binary systems are old, they're dangerous, okay. We're trying to work on them, but these computers control electronic magnetic generators that are placed, okay, that dictate when and where and how our matrix works. So those are hacked. They've been hacked for a long time. Um, they so there's so many things to touch base on. Let me take a sip of my coffee. Where we're getting most of the toxic radiation is the USA and Europe. Who is receiving the least is like Africa, Brazil, Asia. It's the place where there's more nature and less influence. But the 4 computers that are left, I mean, they can absolutely fail, guys, right? So that's a big problem. That's a big problem right now. So, but the techs here are trying to fix those computers. They're trying to do the best they can. And it's another reason why we see certain stuff because of, glitches. So we can get out of the matrix, guys. It's when our consciousness is high enough, is at a high enough level that allows us to adjust to the 5D, which is basically liberating us. And naturally, we just flow into the 5D. Another thing, which is, it's ascension, guys. So your mind does come in as 5D. It has that consciousness, but the grid that we live in is programmed. It's like a chip. So if you choose to ascend, then naturally this energy comes towards you, right? Which then, you're more than capable of stepping out of the matrix. They can't just shut the matrix off. It would cause complete chaos. It would destroy, like, humans, what people, they call them people, okay? It would destroy people, like mentally couldn't take care of it. Like, it would be a fucking disaster. Like, they have the capability of doing it, but they cannot. Okay. So it's up to us to step out of that. And you can step out of the 3D dimension. It's just you have to widen your perspective. We've had this conversation plenty of times. You widen your perspective and you look at things differently, then you expand. You're no longer limited artificially. You're only limited by your own beliefs and what you thought was right. It's your own imprisonment in your own mind, guys. It's called it's called the hive theory. You know what I mean? So you can, choose to live and maintain in the 3D, or, you can bypass that and, use your consciousness and bypass the 3D. Okay. Now, the problem there is we're always going to have this group of reptilians that want to keep us here because it works to their favor. Okay. They can just keep building and building because once they're the ones that created dimensions and stuff. They've been here for this particular group has been working on this for 12,000 years, I believe. Okay. That's why there's always certain dimensions and voids being open. The Federation closed the veil, the grid, because if they were back up in the Milky Way, we would no longer have a galaxy, okay? Because they got their hands on artificial intelligence. They're extremely intelligent. So we have those two fractions. You have the ones that want out and they want to do the right things, and you have the other ones that is the darker frequencies, the darker shadows that will fight to the bitter end to make sure they remain in the 3D because they have more control over this planet. It's they love mind control. They love manipulation, okay? Which is exactly where we all are. Now, from the messages I get, even though we live in 3D, slowly over the last 10 years, they've been turning the notches up, okay? So we're kind of all in the 4D, okay? We're overlapping the 4D. That's why a lot of people are awakening right now. This is what's happening universally. That's why there's a lot of confusion, a lot of people questioning this, questioning that. They can't turn the knob up so much, guys. It would mind fuck us. It would just be devastating, okay? But you can take yourself out of 3D by raising your own consciousness, and we're already very much aware of that, right? Like the key to get out of this, 3D, 4D is basically just it's your own brain, okay? You can't just wait for 5D to kick in. Yes, 5D, I feel like we're good. 5D can kick in, right? They can turn the notch up so 5D kicks in. But you have to do your own work. So they'd rather you were prepared and already ready for 5D, because once you get to 5D, there's other dimensions, right? Right now, we need to get to 5D to raise Earth's vibration so humanity can survive. Now, is there any questions? I feel like I just went whoop, 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 whoop. My ears are hurting again. I had to get out of the frame. I don't know what that was about. It was really distracting me. So this is what Ascension is. It really is. You change your perspective, the world around you changes. We're in a matrix, guys. We're in a program. We're in a replica of the 5D. That what do they call those? Like you're in the desert. A mirage. A majority of this world is a mirage. Things that are untouched and unexplored and certain stuff. And it's all projected from the moon. So that's why it's so hard. Like once it clicks, like you can't go back and live in the 3D. Like I'll never be able to live in the 3D or relate to the 3D again. When people say like this is a matrix, we live in a matrix, it doesn't click for them because they're still living in the same perspective. Like they know more, they have knowledge, they get it, but they're still not taking themselves to the next level to really consciously know what they're talking about. I know because I've been there. I experienced it. I know plenty of people that are like, oh, the Matrix, I'm all puppets and blah, 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 blah. And it's so easy to manipulate and this and that. Yep. Because those are people that already know there's so much more, but they're not raising their consciousness. They know it, but they're doing nothing to raise their consciousness to get out of it. Why don't they want to get out of it? Because they know how to manipulate it. So it's real comfy staying in the 3D. Get what I'm saying? It's a lot of work to take your conscious out of the 3D. And technically, we bypassed the 3D. We're in 4D because the world has to ascend in order for humanity to survive. So there's a group of reptilians, and they're both pretty weighing each other out, the two fractions. A lot want out, and others want to fight to the bitter end because it benefits them, because they're in control here. They know if they go back up to the Milky Way, they're fucked. They're doomed. It's the end of that group. So yes, reptilians, walk the earth, half lizard or whatnot. A lot of it's in like the fantasy, virtual reality, all that. You know what I mean? Um, but based off mythological creatures and stuff. But the reason why we see ghosts and monsters and everything paranormal is because of glitches. Your consciousness makes the decision whether or not you want to change your perspective. You change your perspective, you can change this fucking world. But people don't want to do the work, because if you change your perspective, a lot of work comes with that. And it just blows my mind, because there really is so many people that know there's so much more out there, and they know we live in a matrix, but they do nothing to take themselves out of it. We came here equipped to take ourselves out of it. That's how we raise our vibration. That's why yoga and meditation, that's why mindfulness is taught, all this stuff, because some people can take themselves, everybody can take themselves out of it. It's just a matter of, are you willing to do the work? Because we all come here, we all walk in our shadows until you change your perspective. And when I say federation, it's like the Galactic Federation. It's like how we have our dictators and leaders and presidential stuff here, that type of stuff, So you change your perspective, you change the world. You change your perspective, you change your consciousness, and you can step out of the fucking 3D. How much longer do you want to repeat? It is. We go to work every day. We do the same thing every day, over and over. We just repeat things day by day, over and over. We lose ourselves, we lose our souls, we lose our individuality. That's how we lose our interest. Because you're programmed. They program you that way. The news is programmed. Computers are programmed. Your thoughts. You're actually controlling your own thoughts when you're using the mouse. You're controlling the computer. The computer's only going to let you go so far. But it keeps you trapped. We think we only have 70 years or 30 years or 80 years if we're lucky on this earth. Our consciousness will take us way further. The same pattern, like when they see our grid, it's like, it's the same thing over and over and over. And it's the same replica as the 5D. Except the 5D vibrates a lot higher. You're not questioning ghosts or UFOs or aliens. Like you don't question that shit. Like it's just natural. It's you just live a better life. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to get too much into that because we're touching base on just 3D, 4D, and 5D. And I felt the need to touch base on the reptilian energy because a lot of people, you hear the name or certain stuff, but nothing's clicking. The only thing that holds you back in this world from ascending is your own belief that somebody taught you, that you chose to stick with. That's really the only thing that holds people back from law of attraction. We believe we're limited. We're not fucking limited. That's why, like, some people can shut their eyes and they can see the galaxy. Remember the one time I shut my eyes and I told you I saw, like, the Milky Way? It was the most phenomenal thing I've ever seen in my entire life. An image that will always stick with me. And it's like, take me back. I don't want to fucking be here. But this is where I'm at. And when you raise your vibration, you change your perspective, and you're using your consciousness and you're making your own decisions, you are not constantly going to be reincarnated. You will then, from there, go wherever you're needed or wherever you choose to go. I'm not sure how that works. And the whole past life thing is like, it's consciousness. It has nothing to do with reincarnation. And a lot of people want to now come to this, I want to call them people. A lot of energies or humans do not want to ascend because they now look at Earth as being a fun place. It's fun for them. You know? So living in the 3D, when it comes to like computers and programs, it's limited to, you can't get past 3. You have to raise your own consciousness in order to see past 3. It's pretty fucked up. This suppression. They keep you suppressed. Because only humans can raise their vibration. But here's the thing, guys. For years and years and years and years, hundreds of years, you've known that you can raise your consciousness, that you can change your perspective. Humans choose not to because it's real comfy just living in the matrix. Get what I'm saying? Think about it. How many hundreds of years has it been around where, mindfulness? But yet, it's constantly being taught. But yet, plenty of humans refuse to look at it. Any human can bypass the system. We came in programmed to bypass the system. That's how we raised the vibration of other planets. We weren't blocked to bypass the system. We're all allowed to bypass the program. Humans choose not to. Think about how many people you know and all the conversations you had and how they're like, yeah, we live in the matrix, we do this, and we're puppets, and all them are sheep, and blah, 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 blah. Now, where's their mindset? Have they stepped out of 3D? They just live in it. They're very aware of it, but they just live in it because it's comfortable. How fucked up is that? Like, you're smart enough to know that and acknowledge that, but you refuse to change your perspective. Cookie. Thank you. Yep. Love you. So, yeah, you're the only one that can change your consciousness. Well, you can keep playing in the 3D. But in all reality, we're in 4D. So what happens when the world switches to 5D? How long is it going to take? I'm not really sure. But it's definitely new world order that's going down in the next couple of years. Like, I'm just figuring out, like, I now don't have to come back and be reincarnated and keep learning and this and that. We come in, our conscious is the one thing we have that's not programmed. We can all bypass the system by changing your perspective. But it's scary to people to change their perspective because there's judgment, there's so many other things. It's too scary for them. But so it's ascending whether you want it to ascend. You're either going to catch up and do it on your own and be smart enough to do it on your own, or you're going to lag and fall behind. I don't know what happens to the ones that will not extend. I know Earth will still always be here, and people will still get reincarnated, but eventually it's going to stop because there's too many other things that are going to take over. And these are all theories that have been here for thousands of years, guys. It just takes individuals in the 3D, like right now, to speak about them. I'll tell you right now, they're not happy with me touching base on shit like this. Another reason why I think I had to put the screen down for a few minutes. It was never intended for us to stay in the matrix. And it was never intended for them to close the grid. So now it makes sense to me on why the video I discussed last night, how it was kind of a little bit of a glitch, but it wasn't really a glitch. It was purposely created. Because they need to pull in. So they keep manipulating the 3D. They keep manipulating the matrix. So they keep hacking different parts of certain things where they know people are ascending. So of course they're going to go to YouTube. They're going to go to, spiritualists. They're going to go to any outlet they really have to try to stop, and that's why I was saying even last night in the video, it's being done. It is a person, place, a thing. It's not a thought. They're trying to manipulate your thoughts. They're trying to keep you suppressed. They want you to question, but you're asking yourselves the wrong questioning, because at that point, it's like a trigger. When you hear messages like that, it's like a trigger where it's like, oh my God, was that intended for this? Was that intended for me? Was that intended for me to feel less about myself? You know what I mean? And that one little trigger changes your perspective, therefore suppresses your consciousness. And guys, I'm just delivering messages that have already been here, said, and heard, and all that. There's people and specialists that, write books on this stuff if you really want to really look into it. I'm just touching base on, the basics. You read somewhere that the ones that want to send will stay in 4D. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know a majority of us, I know that, Earth is pretty much in the 4D. If they stay in the 4D and don't raise their own vibration, I don't know what happens. I think another matrix will then be created. And I wouldn't want to be, another matrix will get created. But I wouldn't want to be stuck in that one. Constant confusion, and that would be a tough one to be stuck in. Imagine being stuck in a dimension with everything that's happening right now, and that's going to continue for the next 2 years. Imagine being stuck in that matrix, because that's where you're going to be stuck. Can you imagine just living that life day to day, year after year after year after year after year, in fear? And could you, I don't even know how you would ascend. I think you're just stuck. What movie is that from? Stuck. So I try not to think about that stuff, but Earth is we're not going to another planet. In order to ascend doesn't mean we go to another planet or we go to, like, we still stay here on Earth. Earth just becomes a better place, more beautiful. We want our trees to vibe higher. We want all that. We want those extra colors. We want those brighter colors. The only reason why we don't see those and feel those is because of the suppression. But 5D is a replica. 3D is a replica of 5D. Right? So it's just a matter of getting in New World Order and humans changing their freaking perspective when it comes to certain stuff and start thinking for themselves as individuals. And you think you got these people that, they think they're so special and they are an individual, but they're not. They're not, though. That's being stuck in the matrix. They're living in their ego, thinking, they are where they are through their hard work and success and this and like that. That was hard work and success through the matrix. That's not personal growth or raising your own vibration. You're still part of the matrix. You can't go any further. It's not designed for you to go further. You can't unless you raise your vibration by changing your perspective to reach that level of consciousness. No one will ever be smarter than 3D unless you're dealing with somebody who chooses to ascend. Why a majority of our leaders are choosing not to ascend. They're going to get fucking wiped out. It's reality. That's how that shit's going to go. But only people, humans, can change the vibration. They can't. They can't do it. If they were to just switch the 3D matrix off, it's too much chaos. They're fucked. This planet would no longer exist. This planet would no longer benefit the other planets. It's just a big holographic projector from the moon is the world we live in. Notice when people reach their own capability of being their own individual and don't care about judgment and this and that, how happy their life is. Like, what a fucking difference it makes. So, I've heard certain people say, like, for instance, last night, the video, I could probably debate that. Like, how do we mesh with the 3D? How do we bleed into the 3D? I don't think we should. I think you live in your world, the society, the beliefs that you create. That's our gift. That's our precious gift. You want out, that's how you do it. And for the longest time, I said the same thing. Like, how do we mesh with the 3D? I don't know how I'm ever going to mesh with the 3D, blah, blah, blah. That makes sense now. We're not trying to mesh with the 3D. If we try to mesh with the 3D and try to live in the 3D, we're going to be stagnant. And that didn't even click until now. We're only going to hold ourselves back if we try to mesh with the 3D. And now we can basically call us the 4D. We're no longer the 3D guys. So, The only way out is you're your own savior. And all you got to do is change your perspective. Why are you not questioning what you were taught? Why are you not questioning why your parents had this belief and think you should go in this direction? Why are you not questioning everything right now that you were fucking taught? Because what you were taught was a program. So no, we don't really want to learn how to mesh with the 3D or the 4D. That's going to stay stuck. No. You got to be big enough and brave enough to change your perspective and start living the life that you truly want to live, that you can live. You were given that privilege to get yourself there using your consciousness. So no, I really don't want to learn how to mesh with the 3D. That makes me feel so much better right now. You can actually live a life of happiness, no worry, no anxiety, and just live your life at a high vibration, experiencing things after another that are like mind-blowing, that are just like captivating, and they're just like beautiful. I want to live that life. That's why so many people live off the grid, guys. It takes you out of the matrix. In Brazil, Asia, Africa, all them, they're still linked to the matrix. The frequency just isn't as high as Europe and the USA. And there's a lot more nature in Brazil, in Asia. It's a higher vibration. The frequencies have a harder time landing. Yep. Don't gotta ask me twice where I want to move. I don't want to stay in the USA. Makes complete sense why I'm pulled to other countries. Imagine walking down the street and having friendly neighbors and how things used to be before the Matrix took control. You can still choose to have that fucking life, people. You choose it. Okay, I gotta get some stuff done and then I'll be back and we'll do a reading. I just wanted to touch base on this while it was somewhat fresh in my head and we're talking about Ascension and all this, so it's important for me to come in and do these little videos here and there. But I'll be back in a little while. I believe Mia's still sleeping. I gotta wake her ass up. So I love you guys and I will see you shortly. You're welcome.